Lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord that I wake again. I wake again, I pray the Lord that I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord that I wake again. I wake again, I pray the Lord that I wake.
Welcome to Dinner with the Coaches. I am your host, Nadira Lewis, and I have my wonderful co-host here, Thomas T. Taylor III. You know, I was laughing because I was like, darn it, I pushed the wrong one. I got so excited that I pushed the wrong one. Like,
I saw your topic there. I was like, nah, but it's okay, though.
This is a little bit of excitement. See what happens when you produce a show that you know that is going to bless people. We have awesome, amazing guests and topics that we discuss each and every week. Why don't you put in the comments and let us know exactly where you're watching us from? Let us know if you're a business owner, what type of business that you own, or if you're aspiring to be a business, let us know what type of business that you aspire to have in the comments. If you are watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video. If you are watching us via Facebook, make sure you click like and share if you are blessed by the content that Thomas and I bring each and every Sunday. So, Coach, tell us about our amazing guest that we have today.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. We thank you in advance for spending at least an hour of your time. You know, Sunday, a whole lot going on. So we're not going to take too much of your time. But we have a returning guest, one of our great friends of ours, Mr. Veney Cochran, ladies and gentlemen. And Veney has an organization called SWAG, Succeeding with a Goal. And ladies and gentlemen, he's out there doing it. He's not just talking about it. He's out there making it happen. And he has his own swag as well. So it's going to be interesting. And today we're going to talk about understanding your value. Because in the last few months, we've been having different conversations about not really understanding how valuable you are, relationships, business, marketplace, things of that nature. So we just kind of want to touch on that this evening. And let's see what we have going on today.
All right. Well, you heard it from the coach himself, the visionary coach at that. We're going to go ahead and play a quick video for you. And after that, the next guest you will see alongside of us is SWAG leadership coach, Veney Cochran. And we are back here with Dinner with the Coaches with our special guest, transitional leadership coach, Veney Cochran. Welcome back to Dinner with the Coaches.
What's going on, family? How y'all doing?
Amazing. Marvelous. Great to have you on, Veney. Great to have you on. Yes. Now, you've been on before, so we're just glad to have you back. You know, you did an amazing job last time. We just want to give the people a little bit more about your swag academy, my good brother. I said, hey, you got your own swag, but your swag is a little bit different than just succeeding with the goal. You really bring it. You really bring it, man. So we appreciate your time. But this evening, we just want to kind of dive into a topic that Nadir and I, we've been talking about most of the year in terms of understanding your value, right? So when you look at that from a relationship standpoint, from a business standpoint, I think there's individuals out there sometimes who devalue themselves for the sake of, their past or different things that they've been exposed to. So, Veney, what's been your experience in terms of just people out there, that you've experienced, in your professionalism in terms of understanding their value?
Well, first and foremost, I definitely want to say thank you so much, guys, for having me on. It is definitely an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to be back here again. All the amazing things you guys are doing, I'm just happy to be here on your stage and your platform to be able to share a little bit today. And this thing, value, as you just mentioned, when I think of it, I equate it to worth. And what I mean by that is I think there are so many people, especially, those that I'm speaking with, who somewhere along the lines, they truly forget what they're worth. And I think without them understanding what their worth is, then they don't understand the value that they can bring to someone else.
Wow.
The value they can bring to an organization, or even the value that they can bring to their kids, because, you have some struggling moms and dads out there who are really contemplating ending it because they themselves feel worthless, because they're not looking at the value that they can have towards, those that truly love them, because they don't understand what their worth is. So I think that word value, when we look at it, I always look at it in terms of, what are we worth, and how do we transform that worth into value?
Bridget,
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. I like the way you kind of transitioned and transformed the word, from value into worth, right? So why do you think when it comes to worth, people will put more stock, if you will, and or worth into somebody else's system versus their own system, right? So when you talk about worth, it's like, okay, let's just kind of talk about, let's say, corporate America. People will put a lot into that system, right, where they find themselves a part of it, but at the same time may struggle with their own worth. Like, what's your experience with that?
I think what it comes down to is, we've all been conditioned and taught to seek our value and our worth from someone else. As I think I mentioned before, it starts in the school system. It starts in the school system with your grades. How you perform on a test. There's a teacher and there's a board of educators that has a format or a formula to determine what your value is as a student based off of the grades that you get. And that continues with us, all throughout our lives. If you're going to get that job, in order to bring a certain amount of value that they're looking for, they're also going back and they're looking at the things that you've done in the past, some of that being school. So we're all conditioned to kind of seek the approval of other individuals to tell us what our value is. You go get a job, in most cases, you're interviewing for someone to tell you how much money they're going to pay you per hour to do something that's going to benefit them. So you're accepting what they say your value is instead of you telling them what your value is.
Wow. Yeah, that's really deep right there, because, and it's true though, you know what I mean? Like it's really, really true. So right before Nadira speaks, so Now we get a little bit deeper, because now what you're saying is, in order for us to really understand our worth and our value, we have to transition our mindset.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's not anything physical. We're talking about a mental stigma, if you will, that, like you stated, has been almost like a chip that's been implanted in us since we were small. Right? So that's a mindset to determine whether or not we believe something different. And that becomes challenging. Ms. Nadira, you want to add to that? We can't hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. It's funny that you said, can you hear me now?
Yep, yeah, we got you.
Okay. It's funny that you said it conditions your mindset, because when I think about value, like Veney said, you can't really understand, you can't really move forward in being confident in the value until you know your worth. And I believe it's the foundation. Knowing your worth is the foundation to be able to boldly be able to confidently know your value. If you don't know your worth, then then value is just going to be a secondary thing that you just don't know. But I believe when you deal with the worth part of it, then displaying your value becomes a lot different, because now there's a confidence. I don't have to, like I mentioned earlier, if I give you a diamond, right? You know what the diamond is worth, right? You may not know exactly in dollar amount, but you know that there's a worth to the diamond. So you're going to value it a little bit differently than any other jewel that you have around you or in your home. It's the same way. When you understand your value, your worth, then I think it'll affect how you see yourself and your value to your business, relationships. And that is like the core thing. Man, this is just so good, because I think about low self-esteem. And I think about low self-esteem in business and relationships and personal development. If we can deal with the worth part and understanding who we really are, oh man, you won't have to question value. It'll be like confidence. It'll just come automatically.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, Veney, what are some of the things that you have done throughout your career? Because you have an extensive career, military background, correct?
Correct.
Right. You have an extensive career where the mindset coming in couldn't be the mindset that carried you through. At some point, there had to be a transition. Can you help our listening audience about that transition from a mindset to a B mindset?
Gotcha. And I'm glad you brought up that point, because as you mentioned, everything that I do is built around transitional leadership, which is something that I say I coined the phrase because in corporate America, when they speak of transitional leadership, they speak of a team of individuals coming in to help a company go through a certain transition. The way I look at it is taking an individual through all of those different transitions he or she may have in their life. Those difficult ones that, because they've never done it before, it seems challenging. Going from single to being married, leaving high school and going into college or the workspace, all of those different transitions. Like you said, you have to change your mindset from what it was to what it now has to be in order to progress and have success in that. And, in the Marine Corps, where I spent 30 years,
hold on, Veney. Don't just graze past that. Say that for the people in the back. Say that a little slower. Because that's valuable information right there.
Yes, I was able to spend 30 years in the Marine Corps, and in that time, I appreciate that. I was able to achieve the highest enlisted rank that you can achieve in the military.
Wow.
And spent the last 9.5 years at that rank. And because of the positions that I was placed in, I got to see all the different mindsets that individuals have. I also served as a drill instructor.
Wow. So, okay.
For 3 years, I'm taking young 17 to 20-year-old individuals and really trying to break them out of all of their habits and mindsets that they had for the last 17 or 18 years and changing it in 3 months so that they can adapt to our lifestyle in the Marine Corps, because it's totally different. We're trying to get them to not ask questions about things, because we have to have them act at a split second. So that's a mind shift that they have to make. And all throughout the military and in life, individuals are going through that same thing. Like I said, you leave high school, you join the real world, it's a change. It's a big change for individuals, and some individuals just don't know how to make the transition because they don't know what to expect. So you have to get them to understand, like we talked about at the beginning, what is the value that you can bring to any situation that you're going into. And once you understand what that is, you can walk into any situation and have success when you understand what you're bringing to the table. And that all begins with your mindset.
Yeah. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody caught that. This man spent 30 years transforming people's lives, as well as protecting our freedoms. Sometimes we take our freedoms for granted, right? So Veney, was there any particular tools just on the Marine Corps side in terms of mental? Were there any tools that you used in order to help those individuals make that mindset shift that you still use today?
Well, I think for everybody, it was different. For me, I learned how to listen to people.
Okay. That's a tool. That's a
Marine
skill.
Corps, the Marine Corps is really, it's a male dominated organization that's all about war fighting. So you can probably assume what kind of mindset people think that you need to have, to be that type of individuals that they want us to be. But everybody that joins the military, especially the Marine Corps, are not joining to go to fight. They have different reasons that they're going. And I think you have to be able to sit down and listen to what those reasons are, find out what it is that they want to get out of their tour, and then help them identify those things that they inherently have within them that's going to carry them to get there. And I think you kind of mentioned it before, we have our inherent gifts, and then we have this set of skills that we can lean on to help bring out those gifts. And sometimes we let the skills overpower the gifts that we have, and we keep burying those gifts deep down inside of us. And I think it's, as leaders, as individuals, as leaders, it's our responsibility, especially to the younger generation, to help them discover what their gifts are.
Yeah, that is key. Ms. Nadira, you want to add to that?
I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm like, dang, how do you go after that?
Yeah, that was good.
I think too, I think if we really understood too, the mindset, the discipline of the mindset that we need to transition to understand the value, I think, and how it impacts the people that are affected by it. I think it will definitely, I think in its simplistic form, when we realize that there's impact that comes, as a result of knowing your worth. And when you know your worth, then you know the kind of impact that you can make. And that's the value that you bring to that person's life, whether it's in coaching, relationships, whether it's in family. That is one of the things I'm learning. And it takes that you can't eliminate the personal development that's required for your mind to be changed. And you need that along with the discipline to stay at that place so that you can be able to walk out the value of whatever it is that you bring. So it's like, even listening to y'all talk, I'm getting excited. I'm like standing up in my chair because I'm like, wow, this thing about, mindset is crucial in transitioning over from one from worth to value.
Yeah, and what comes to my mind is when Veney talked about transitional leadership and transition, I think of levels, right? So you think about that in our lives, and those individuals that's watching. In order to reach another level that you feel that your creator has ordained for you to be at, what I'm hearing is you have to be versatile, right? So think about what Veney was saying. He had a lot of these recruits coming in, And he as an instructor had to be versatile, but then also the individuals had to have an open mind, right? So just think about that in your relationships and in business. Do you have an open mind to hear something different than what you've been taught? Why? Because if you want to go to another level in business, somewhere along the line, you might have to acquire a coach to help pull and stretch you to open up your mind to something different. Why? Jim Rohn talks about that. He talks about the greatest pull is a pull of the future. But also many times, most of us live our lives how? In the past. That's what Vinny said earlier. We live our lives based upon the things that happen to us. But if the greatest pull is a pull of the future, can you have the presence of mind to see yourself somewhere else? So when you talk about transition, Vinny, can you talk about those different levels? Because I see in terms of to be and do, you have to have an open mind because that's a whole nother level. Vinny?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. In the first book that I wrote, the Leader in You, one of the first things I talk about in the book in the first chapter is mindset, and I talk about the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset, and that's where we kind of tap into those different levels that you talked about, because that individual with that fixed mindset who believes some of the things that they were taught and that they were brought up on, that you have to go to school, get the good grades, to get the good education so that you can get the good job. And, individuals like Michael Jordan were born with that gift of playing basketball. And there's no way that you being the average individual are ever going to be that good. Those are the individuals with the fixed mindset. Those individuals with the growth mindset are the individuals who can break through those barriers, get to those other levels, because as you said, they have that open mind. They're willing to, as some people would say, think outside the box and step outside the box, which for some people that is terrifying. They like that comfort zone. They feel comfortable in that comfort zone, and success is not found in the comfort zone. Success is never found in the comfort zone. You can have a certain level of success, but as you said, there's different levels. And I think any level that you're possibly thinking that you want to be at, trust and believe there's a higher level that you should be at. And you're probably thinking way, way too small because of all the conditioning that has been put upon you and that you let creep into your mindset. And again, it goes back to, do you understand how valuable you are and the gifts that you have within you?
Yeah. Wow. And that's real interesting. In a few minutes, we're going to go to a quick break when we come back and get a little bit deeper. But just to kind of piggyback off of that point, when you really understand gifts again versus your skills, right? So inside of our skills, there's certain things that we just take for granted because typically we are in some sort of system that unfortunately does the thinking for us, right? But now when we really understand the value that you can bring in terms of inside of your gifts versus your skills, now you have to do the thinking for yourself. Yes. And if you have a team, now you may have to help construct a team. So now when you really talk about that aspect of just from a business standpoint, do we really understand our value? And if you do, where is that coming from? Because if most of your time have been spent in the system where most of your thinking has been done for you, and now you have to be a free thinker, where's your example?
Wow.
What do you turn to? You see? So now here comes a little bit outside of the box. Wow. Now our nerves start to get a little rattled because it's just us, right? You're just out there almost like that peanut water experience. Who do I grab onto? Who do I hold on to? Because now it's up to us to create that system that we depended upon for years.
Definitely.
That's deep.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it.
Wow.
Like you said, it's all the conditioning that we've all bought into at certain points in our lives. And it's not until we start to learn how to step out of that conditioning. And as you said, really think for yourself. And again, it's hard at times because we've been taught and brought up to lean on the advice and the structure of everything that's out there. And when you start to depend too much on it, then you're giving up, in my opinion, you're giving up your own free will. You're giving up your own free will to succeed because you're dependent on, like you said, a structure that you bought into instead of a structure, a business, an organization that you can build yourself and control the way that you want to control it. That's one of the reasons why when I retired, it was like I deemed myself unemployable when I retired. Now I've got friends that retired after 30 years. They have jobs and they're doing jobs that they love.
Okay.
But I left the military and I knew on day one that in my mind, I'm unemployable. I can't go into an organization after spending 30 years in the Marine Corps and 9 of those being at the highest rank I could possibly get, and then basically start over. No matter what position they gave me in a company, I'm still starting over. So I said, if I'm going to start over, I'm going to start over with something that I can control and I can build and I can structure the way that I want to, because I knew what my value was based off of everything that I've learned in my 30 years in the military.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody is getting something out of this. I mean, Veney is an awesome brother. He's out there doing great things for the community, has an awesome organization. And when we come back, we're going to dive into those couple of last statements that he just talked about. We're going to dive into how actually we can help people. How we can help people understand their value, right? Like Veney said, when he got out of the military, he deemed himself unemployable. No, I will not wear somebody's badge.
Absolutely.
We're going to stay tuned. We're going to have a little commercial break. We'll be right back.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate applying my elimination. Gotta go to Google.
Stop. I want it. I got it. 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 I want it. I got it.
All right, and we are back here with Dinner with the Coaches. Our special guest, transitional leadership coach, Veney Cochran. Welcome back, Thomas.
Yeah, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that first segment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get a little bit deeper. Now we want to give everyone that's listening some tools, right? Some things to think about in terms of how do you actually put yourself in a position where you understand your value, right? So like Veney was saying that we've been talking about throughout this year, your gifts versus your skills, right? So when you think about your actual gifts, somewhere in that book, sometimes we read, it says your gifts shall make room for you and put you in front of kings, right? So now when we talk about gifts and value, to me, they're directly related. It's directly in proportion of. But the challenge is, ladies and gentlemen, if you have two bags, and I use this analogy to a friend of mine, if you have two bags, our skills bag is a little bit heavier than our gift bag. Our gift bag doesn't have the same amount of tools that we have in our skills bag. So Veney, what are some things where we can help individuals listening to be a little bit more balanced? Because I think both of them is necessary, right? But as we move through the marketplace, when we're talking about our value, that's us. And sometimes we put more value in a system than us as individuals. Veney?
And again, I couldn't agree with you more, but one of the things I guess I'll point out and try to frame it for everyone is an exercise that I normally do with individuals that I'm working with. Right as soon as we start off is have them take out a piece of paper, and on one side, I want them to write down as many things as possible that they can think of that they have trouble with, some things that they may feel that they're weak in, that they need some assistance in. And they'll normally come up with a bunch of them real quick. They can start rattling off all of these things that they're lacking in. But on the other side of the paper, I tell them to write down all those things that they're good at. Write down all your strengths, all these things that you know to be your strength. And I will tell you time and time again, people might get to 7 or 8 and they get stuck. When I believe that, anybody, regardless of what situation you are, how old you are, what your life has been, we can all sit there if we really thought about it and come up with at least 100 different things that we are good at it. But our mind is plagued with all the things that we're not good at. And it's the same analogy you use. One bag is going to be heavier than the other, until you really look inside you and figure out what those things are, what those true gifts that you have are. And I use another analogy. We kind of talked a little bit before the show, and we was kind of talking about something dealing with the president. And it got me to thinking, everybody knows that anytime a president flies, he gets on Air Force One or the helicopter Marine One. And when that plane takes off, everybody's looking at it as the president, whoever it is the most important and the most valuable person on that plane, right? Because he's the president of the United States. But in reality, he's not. The person with the most value on that plane and the most important person on that plane is the pilot.
He's a pilot, amen.
The one who's flying that plane.
Amen.
So you can have an individual that, like you said, they can look the part, they can play the part, but there's always going to be someone else or something else, that is going to be more valuable or that can bring value to that individual. You have to understand where you are at any place in time in relation to what are you going to bring to the table, to increase that value. Like I said, president stepping on the plane, before he gets on the plane, he's the most valuable person on it. As soon as that plane takes off, his value has decreased significantly.
Whoa.
Right?
That's
all because of the pilot.
Wow. That's deep right there. Wow. The transition. You're the most valuable until you get up in the air. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just another way of thinking about things.
Yeah, and I like that analogy. Nadira, you have something?
I think, you know, which is one of the reasons why Thomas and I talk about gifts versus talents, because I think that why it's important for you to understand your gifts is because it's tied to your purpose, and your purpose helps reveal your worth, right? Your worth helps you understand your value, your significance. And I think when you understand the steps of that, then you start, it's a lot harder to be pushed, you know, even though you may go through different mindsets while you're understanding that, you'll quickly be able to reset and be like, wow, I'm here. My gifts are here for, I have these gifts. It's tied to my purpose. I'm relevant. I have a worth attached to me. You know, I have a worth attached to me, and that worth is going to help me understand my value in the marketplace. You know, it's going to help me understand my value, which is another word for significance. You know, when you understand your significance in a particular area of business, you don't have to worry about all the extra stuff that comes with the mindset that you're battling to get out of, because once you know your significance, you know, it changes the game. It really does.
Mm-hmm. And you know, and that was a great point, Nadira and Vinny, regarding understanding roles and how fast your role can change as we transition, right? So the president walks on, he's the most important person on, but then as soon as they take off, all of a sudden there's a transition that happens and the roles change. So for me, a tool to help individuals that's listening, that helped me understand my value was, I read Rick Warren's Purpose Driven Life, right? Just happen to have it right here, right?
Yes.
Purpose Driven Life, right? And if you turn to page 17, right, on the first chapter, the first thing in this book says, it's not about you. I'm gonna say for the people in the back, this life that you're living is not about you. When I got that concept, when I understood that concept, that's when I really started to understand the value that my creator placed inside of me, and then the job and my responsibility of what he told me, which helped me understand how valuable I was, not necessarily to the marketplace, but to the children, God's children, who he assigned to me. That's a little bit different, right? I was able to take myself out of the equation, but at the same time understood and understand how valuable I am based upon what he told me. Why? Because each and every person that's listening, your creator has put something inside of you, not necessarily for you. Once you understand that it's not about you, you'll move different and help those individuals that are waiting to hear your voice. Because he has assigned people to your voice. But if you understand that you are valuable, you move different. If you think you're not worthy, and if you think you're not valuable, you'll wait for somebody to put a price tag on you. Wow. Vinny, I'm gonna pause right there. Pass the mic, Vinny. I'm gonna pass the mic, Vinny.
That was deep, brother. That was deep.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, man,
that was.
I did a talk a while ago, and pretty much just what you said, and it was basically what I call the 2 secrets to success. And the first one was just like you said, that the first secret to success is it's not about you, just like you pointed out. However, when we're talking about what your worth is and what your value is, the second secret is it's all about you.
Yes, sir.
Right? Because until you take care of you, you know, and until you put on, you know, like when you're flying in a plane, until you put on your oxygen mask, you can't help anybody else. You know, so you have to get you in your house in order first before you can utilize those gifts that was placed inside you to benefit someone else. Because like you said, you know, sometimes people don't realize their gifts because those gifts are not there for them. They have to see themselves being the purpose for someone else's success in order to truly see what those gifts are for. And then they can utilize those skills that you talked about, that we can pick up along the way to start honing those gifts that we have for the betterment of someone else. And when you do that, there's a saying out there, I don't know where it came from, but the more people you help, and the more people you help to become successful, the more successful you're going to become. Yeah. But in order to do that, again, it starts with you, with the understanding that, as you said, it's not about you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have a lot of experience in that, because I look at you as not only a leader, but you're accomplished, right? And then also, I kind of watch you out there on these internet streets. You're doing big things with your lovely wife as well. You see, that's huge. That's huge. Because sometimes, a husband and wife can't stay in the same room, much less do business together. You know what I mean? So I know you and your lovely wife are out there being that example. You know what I mean? And that in itself, it is something where it's not talked about, right? But you're demonstrating what it looks like. Not only being a leader in the military to help those transition, you're a leader in your household. Your lovely wife is out there doing her thing, and you're setting the sail, right? You're setting the sail, say, hey, look, babe, this is the direction that we're gonna go in. It may not look like how I want it to look right now, but let's stay the course, and I promise you, we'll get there. So kind of talk about that with what you're doing with your wife, and let the people know.
Well, definitely. And like you said, everything we do, we do together as a team.
Awesome.
My wife, she also served in the military. She served 23 years, as a Marine and retired. And now she works for the government. She's about to retire from that.
Wow.
And in the midst of all of that, she's working on her doctorate. So when you look behind me, those two big certificates, they're not mine. Those two big certificates back there are hers. Then we're gonna add the other one on top of it as soon as she finishes. But it's a team effort. I know awesome. I wouldn't be able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished without her. Awesome. I give her as much support as I can, even though sometimes she may not feel like I do. But I give her all the support because we're in this thing together. And like you said, I know she may not be able to see all the ins and outs of everything that I'm putting in place, but she has that trust in me that it's going to be all right. That we're going to do this thing together. And I think, like you said, that's what's missing a lot out there. We can't do it by ourselves. If you want to be truly successful, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a spouse. It could just be family members. And I'm very fortunate that I've always had family that supported me in everything that I did.
That's amazing.
And some people just don't have that. So on top of everything else that they're fighting against, they also have to fight with their family members who are trying to pull them down. And I don't have that. And again, I think that just comes from, your upbringing, again, you understanding what your value, what your worth is. And even if that negativity is there, if you know your worth, there's nothing that can take that away. I wrote something down here a little while when we were on break. Actually, I wrote a couple things down. One of the things I wrote is, your value doesn't decrease based off of someone else's inability to see what your worth is.
Say that again.
Your value doesn't decrease based off of someone else's inability to see your worth.
Amen.
But unfortunately, that's where some people get caught up. Wow. If you're told over and over and over that you're nothing and you're not going to be nothing, unfortunately, most people become nothing. But there's that small group of individuals who, no matter what you tell them, they believe in themselves and they can rise above all of that. And that's what I try to impart and get individuals to do. Regardless of all the noise that's out there, understand that, as we all know, we were all put here and we all born and made of an image of him.
Mm-hmm.
And if he is the purest thing out there, and with no blemishes or anything, then why can't we achieve all the things that we want to achieve? If we were made in the image of him, but we'll go out and we'll spend money and hundreds of dollars, millions of dollars on things that have images of other things on it, without looking at and knowing that we are an image. And you have to build up your image. When you go somewhere, you have to portray yourself as we say, as a brand. You are a brand, because every brand has an image that goes on it. Right? And if we are made in his image, we can't go wrong unless we allow ourselves, to be placed in a position where we don't choose to come out of it.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, unfortunately, with the lack of support, and I'm glad you brought that up, with the lack of support, we automatically cancel ourselves out, and we devalue ourselves based upon, again, our past history. And the reason why I kind of brought up the support with your wife is because that could be a part of your value that people don't see.
Oh yeah.
Right. But I know it's there. That's why I want to, give her homage, because it's important to understand that support is critical. Right. You talk about story, you talk about Moses. Well, he had his brother Aaron to help him. Right. Speech impediment, couldn't really talk. He had somebody there. Why? To do the job, to understand his value in the job of freeing the individuals that he had to free, right? So we all need somebody, but you represent that, right? Like you, when you come on your Facebook Lives, like your whole presentation, it shows value, right? It shows that you're a man of worthiness, integrity, like all of these different attributes by your appearance. And sometimes people don't realize that there's certain things in the background that help you understand that for yourself. Because you can have your own doubts and your own insecurities like we all do, but it doesn't stop you, right? Like Les Brown and those guys always said, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yes.
Right? Do it anyway. Why? Because somebody got to do it. And why not it be you, Veney?
Exactly.
Why not you, Nadira? Why not you, Thomas? Why not? Because it has to be done. Right. So to me, that's very important, giving people a better understanding on, different things that they can utilize to help them understand that they're valuable. So there's something I want to talk about, in this last, 5 to 10 minutes. Right. And I want to challenge those individuals that's listening. If you kind of get something from what we're talking about, and if you feel that you're valuable, I challenge you to reach out, to step out on faith and do that thing that your creator has given you the ability to do. It's been tapping on you in your quiet time, in your meditation. It's tapping on you. Why am I challenging you to do that? Because when you start to build a bridge and start to understand that you're valuable, once you create a system and once you put something on the input and something comes out, meaning somebody actually physically pays you for a product or a service, guess what you just did, ladies and gentlemen? You just created your own system. Now, why is that important? Because the thing that gets you up tomorrow morning, Monday morning, to punch that clock, to go back to that job, is their system. It's their system. And at the end of the week, they pay you for being a good employee, doing a good deed, and believing and trusting in their system.
That's good.
I just challenge those that are listening to start to create your own ecosystem. And when you get one person to pay you for a product or service, I want you to celebrate. I want you to take a moment and celebrate. Why is that important? That's important because now you just proved that it works. Now, all you have to do is find a way to scale that, get more people, get a support system, and keep improving that system. Miss Nadira?
Wow, that's really good. Like, I'm like, I'm speechless.
I had that one in my pocket. I had that one in my pocket.
This is the one show where I want to sit back and be the student. I want to.
He had a deep pocket for that one. He had a deep
pocket.
Had
one in my pocket, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. I was looking up the word as I was listening to each of you, say different keywords like image and, stuff like that. So I was looking up image, and it just really expanded my understanding of value and worth. And I was, as I was reading it, it was saying it's a mental representation of or a mental picture of something that's not present. And but in external form. And I thought, wow, it's a representation or a mental picture of something that's not present in an external form. And when you think about your gifts, it's something that Veney said when he was saying you don't really know until you're in a position to, to where it's utilized, and then you begin to see the value that you bring or the significance that you bring to somebody's life when you're operating in your gift. And I just was thinking about that. And I'm like, that's exactly an example of what happens and why it's important for us to understand our gifts, because our gifts are a representation it's an external representation of things that are not present in external form. So when we impact people's lives based on our gifts, it will be, and some people might disagree with that, because some people, believe it or not, no matter what we teach, some people still believe that skills are vital. And I'm not saying that skills eliminate, that you eliminate your skills, but you have to start at the foundation, the why you're significant, the why. When you don't understand why you're here, the purpose, the worth, the value, it's going to be difficult to feel significant in anything that you do. It's going to be difficult to be an external display of something that was inward, because you don't know, you haven't done the work. So it's vital to do and that's all I keep hearing. You have to do the work. You have to do the internal work so that you can identify what's been placed on the inside of you, what's been invested on the inside of you, so that you can be able to understand your significance and what you bring to either a person's life or a situation or circumstances or even business.
Yeah, and that's real key. And Veney, we're gonna let you close this out, but that's real key, because even if people don't believe that their gifts should kind of be more balanced than their skills, if they're honest with themselves, when they're by themselves in their quiet time, guess what's happening? Their spirit man is not satisfied.
I agree.
There's an emptiness. Why? Because we have this innate feeling that if we're not paying homage to our benefactor, we don't feel fulfilled.
That's good.
If we just keep trading time for money, our spirit is empty. And if you really sit and speak to somebody, if they're really honest with you, they'll tell you they still feel unfulfilled. Why is that? It's for the same reason that we're talking about. And the reason why it's important is because there's not a lot of people in the marketplace talking about this. Because when you talk about your gifts, it's from a spiritual standpoint. And nobody kind of really want to touch that.
That's good.
But that's what it is. It's from a spiritual place. So as long as we feel that our skills are sufficient, we will have a deficiency in our gifts.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good. I'm speechless. Like, I want to take some time to acknowledge some of our listeners that are engaging with us. I want to make sure that we're engaging back with them. Veney Cochran said that she was watching us, and Khadija said hello. Penny also said that she was proud of her little brother. Awesome. Candy also said that she said, hurry up with this break. I'm feeling all of this. Thank you so much, Penny, for watching. She also said that she is his sis. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know. And she said that it was a great analogy in talking about some of the things that we were discussing. She also indicated, Penny also said that she stepped out on faith when she started volunteering at the food pantry, and she didn't think that she could do it because it's not only giving people food, it's about the joy and love that you put into it. And she said that she thinks that she can give people so much love and make them happy by doing it. She's been doing it now for 3 years and hoping that one day she can open her own pantry and follow her brother Veney footsteps. With all his motivation, we're going to make it happen. And she said that he motivates her daily. Wow. That's amazing.
Well, hey, Miss Penny, keep us, posted, and we'll be in a position to contribute to that food pantry.
Absolutely. And I think the key thing to realize is there's no one thing greater than the other. Just because you deliver food at a food pantry doesn't make what you do any less important than somebody else that's doing something else. And I think, to me, that's what helped me, because I've always had this thing where I was always at a moment where I was comparing myself to what somebody else did. But once I started to realize my worth and my value, I created a space for me to be able to be able to show externally what was on the inside. And I think that's what happens when you find your gifts and you find what it is that you're good at or what motivates you. You create a space where you can be able to function the way you feel like. That's why some people be like, no, I don't really want to do this. You condition me and you try to put me in a box, but it's difficult because you can't put me in a box because I've already got my own box over here. So I'm going to just step out of their box and be over here.
But that's a good point, Vinny. We're gonna let you close this out. That's a good point, Miss Penny, what she's saying, because that food pantry satisfies her spirit, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, and when she realized that, when she looked up, it's been 3 years. And she keeps going back because it satisfies her. And it's not about trading time for money. It's about paying homage to her benefactor. The one who gave her that inside of her spirit. And that's a pull because she's helping other people. You see that, and hey, Vinny, we may need to get Kenny on a coaching program because that's a part of her gifts right there. I know you her brother, so you might have to refer her to me. We might need to get Miss Penny on a coaching program because that's a part of her gifts, and we got to lean into that because she loves helping people. That satisfies her spirit. Well, Vinny, hey, go ahead. We a little bit over, but we gonna let you wrap this up. We gonna let you wrap this up.
I don't even know what to say after all of this. This has been absolutely amazing. The nuggets you guys are dropping is just phenomenal. It's just a pleasure to be here, and then of course, to have my family sharing this. As always, as I mentioned, it doesn't get any better than that. But the one thing that I will say as I close out my remarks is, again, when we're talking about value, this one statement that I just wrote down is, sometimes we stifle ourselves from the successes that we can have simply because of the individuals we place ourselves around. And those individuals can't see or don't see what our values are. But once we start seeing what our value is, you'll find that it's hard to stay around people who don't see your value.
Yeah. Amen.
So you will eliminate yourself, out of those situations once you understand who you truly are. And again, in my program, that's the heart and soul of what we try to do, is really get individuals to understand who they are as individuals. We give them the clarity that they need, the confidence that they need, and ultimately the courage that they need to step out there on faith and go after everything that they've ever dreamed about. So that's what we do.
Amen. So, Vinny, let them know how they can keep in contact with you, how they can follow you, where they can reach you at, and then we're going to close out.
Well, you can follow me on Facebook at Veney Cochran. On Instagram, it's the Veney Cochran. My website is the Veney Cochran, and YouTube is the Veney Cochran. You can hit me up on all of those, all of those social media outlets, and we'll be happy to, set up a call where we can talk to you and find out not only, how we can possibly help you, but in all of our conversations, what people don't realize is we are always growing and learning from everybody that we're helping at the same time. So it's always mutually beneficial when we simply get on a call, whether an individual joins the program or not. It's always mutually beneficial.
Awesome. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we hope it was good for you as it was for us. Again, Mr. Veney Cochran, amazing young man doing phenomenal things out there in the marketplace. Don't forget to check out his swag, Succeeding with a Goal. Nadira, close us out, young lady.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I want to end. I'm like, I think today I was the student. I was the student today. I was not the coach today. I am the one being coached today. I feel so full. And I'm so grateful for each of you and what you bring into my life. I'm just so, you guys don't know what this broadcast has done to me. This was amazing. Thank you so much, Veney, for just you. Every time you come, you always bless us with your presence, your discipline, your knowledge. I'm smiling inside and out. Like I feel like I can go to sleep with a big old smile on my face. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to join us next week. We have each and every Sunday at 7 p.m. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We look forward. I hope, were you guys blessed? Do you guys feel as full as I do right now? Let us know in the comments how Dinner with the Coaches has blessed you. And we look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Have a wonderful day.
IBG Careers is looking for customer service representatives to service their clients from home. If interested, please apply at www.ibgcareers.com.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time.